Hello, beautiful mama. Welcome to the New Baby, New Body YouTube channel. My name is Megan. I am your health and fitness postpartum coach. I help conscious mamas create bodies that thrive, heal postpartum in a loving, supportive, good vibes only community. So if that's you, be sure to like this video and subscribe so you never miss any good workouts or good training tutorials that I have for you. And today I have a really fun one for you. So the biggest thing postpartum, right, for most of you, hopefully you know this, but diastasis recti and mommy tummy, and how do we heal this? So I'm going to be giving you a deep dive into diastasis recti 101. So how do we heal it? How do we know if we have it? What the heck do we do if we do have it? And what to avoid and not avoid, okay? So number one, a little backstory. So diastasis recti is going to happen in 100% of women right before they give birth, right? So that is going to be your center abs here. So this midline area, what happens is as baby grows, right, it's going to separate, okay, to make room for baby. So everybody right before they give birth is going to have some sort of ab separation. Now, what happens is after birth, it doesn't close all the way. Okay, this is going to happen in 60% of mamas. So more than likely, this is you. Okay, so we have this ab separation. We gave birth. It didn't really come back together. What do we do? So for some of us, this is going to heal naturally, and we don't really have to do anything. If you're one of those lucky ones, yay. For most of us, we do need to do some exercises to heal that back properly and make sure it grows nice and strong. So when we have another baby, it doesn't tear or separate even more, okay? So now how the heck do we know if we have diastasis recti? I'm going to show you that in just a moment. We're going to get down on the floor, so grab a mat, and I'll show you how to test for diastasis recti. You can also ask if you're like, I have no idea, I can't really feel. You can always ask your primary or your OBGYN or your midwife too to check you. Or even if you go to pelvic floor PT, they should be able to do it as well, okay? But it's really easy to check at home. So let's start there, number one, and then we'll go into what the heck do we do to help heal it, okay? So first, we're gonna get on the ground here. I'm gonna lie flat on my back. So get nice and comfy. Nice and comfy. I'm gonna have my pelvis down here. I'm just gonna do a couple pelvic tilts so I get my back into a nice neutral spine. So meaning my back is low, is into the ground here, okay? Now, something that we wanna, a couple moves that we wanna avoid when we're trying to heal diastasis recti until we can actually activate our deep transverse abdominals is crunching. However, we're gonna do a small crunch just to test for DR. So the DR is going to have diastasis recti. It's going to be right in this midline area here, okay? So what I'm going to be looking for is right in the center. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take my 2 fingers, okay? 2 fingers, maybe even 3 if you have a wider gap, maybe even 4. Some of us can have really a big gap. Don't panic. You can still heal it, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to lift up slightly here, okay? So I'm going to have my tummy, it's going to bulge up. Now that's something you want to look out for. I'll talk about that in a minute, is that bulging. Next, I'm going to test in at least 3 different places. We have our top and our center and then our bottom. Now, you can have DR in the top area, but your center is closed. You have it in the bottom area, but the top is closed. Okay, so you have to check for all 3 places. You can have it in all 3 places. You can have it in just one place. So just do your best, okay? So I'm going to lift up here. I'm going to take my 2 fingers, and I'm going to press gently. Now, I should be able to feel one ab or one muscle on one side of my finger, okay? And then on the other. Now, if you don't feel those muscles, use 3 fingers, okay? Until you feel it. 4 fingers until you feel it, okay? So most of us are going to have probably a 3, especially if you're newly postpartum, 2 to 3 finger gap. Like I said, don't panic if it's wider. Doesn't mean you can't fix it. So I'm going to test in this top area here. And then I'm going to test in the middle, okay? Ooh, my middle is actually a little bit wider, I can tell, than my top area, which is the most common. The most common is the widest gap is going to be that center. And then I'm going to check this bottom area. And you might even have to roll your pants down to really get into that. Bottom, ooh, okay, that's looking pretty good. But my center, ooh, okay, it's a little wider. Now, that's going to be your width, okay? The next portion, the width is usually the easiest to close. Something that a lot of mamas are like, hey, I closed my gap, but I still feel like I have mommy tummy. Well, that's because we have to test the knuckle depth too. So I'm going to press down, and what I'm looking for, I'll lie back in just a moment. What I'm going to be looking for is kind of like a trampoline type spring. Now, if it goes really deep and I don't feel any like springiness, okay, that just means we need more time to heal and to strengthen. This is going to take the longest time. It can take a year, maybe even 2 years to really get that springiness of consistent work. So don't panic on that one. So now I'm going to lie back. I'm going to crunch up again just slightly. I'm going to find that center. Now I'm going to go and I'm going to press right down. I'm just pressing with one finger here, pressing down. Okay, it feels like a good bounciness there. This is a little bit deeper, so I go one knuckle. Some of you guys might go all the way super deep, 2 knuckles. That's okay. Don't panic. We can fix it. Okay. And that's what I'm really looking for. So, okay, I got a little bit of work to do. I'm about a year postpartum, so I'm pretty healed, but I can still feel like, okay, my midline is still a little, I'm not going to panic. Okay, so check that out and check knuckle depth at the top area, nice and springy here, a little bit more depth in that midline area, and then also that low. My low feels nice and tight because I do a lot of lower body work, okay? So that's the first place you want to start, is checking for that DR. Now, something a lot of moms are like, how long does it take to heal your diastasis recti? It varies, okay? So like I said, some moms, nice and quick, if they do the right work, they can heal it within 30 days. I see it all the time. Most of my mamas are going to take, on average, about 6 months. Some are going to take longer, to 12 months. So if you have a really wide gap too, that might be an indicator that you might need to seek a little bit more medical advice, okay? But if you're at 3 fingers, this is something that you can really start doing from home, okay? Now, a couple of things I want to talk about is what are the moves we want to avoid when we're healing diastasis recti, okay? So we have the midline abs here. What we're really trying to focus on, because what happens is our corset muscles, which are our deep transverse abdominal muscles, okay? Our deep transverse abdominals tend to get a little bit weaker as we're pregnant, especially if we're not moving a lot. I didn't really do a ton of work out when I was pregnant, so mine got really, really weak. So we want to recruit these deep transverse abdominals, so the corset muscles, so they're going to wrap around and they go all the way deep into the pelvic floor, okay? So diastasis recti, pelvic floor, and your posture is all connected. So when we're working on healing our DR, we're focusing not just on our abs. We're not just focusing on our abs. We're focusing on how our pelvic floor is moving, what are our glutes doing, what is our posture doing, all of this stuff, okay? So there's a lot that goes into it. So we want to really focus on the deep transverse abdominals. So what does that mean and what type of movements, okay? So for instance, when we're doing crunches or sit-ups, so I'll show you an example. So I'm going to do my big sit-up here. When I do my sit-up, the most common muscle that I'm going to recruit is that mid-center line. And same with crunches, especially if I'm newly postpartum. Now, we want to turn on the deep transverse abdominals first, even when we do our crunches and when we do our sit-ups. So how do we do that? For a moment, we stop doing crunches or sit-ups, okay, until we really are able to feel the deep transverse abdominals. Another one to avoid, just so we are really clear, is our plank position. Okay, so what happens when we're in our planks, especially when we start them down here, is if we aren't recruiting everything properly, if we're not pulling up through our pelvic floor, our belly will drop down and we'll just turn off our corset muscles completely. So that's why, and all we're doing is putting more pressure on that midline and just separating it even more, okay? So crunches, sit-ups, and planks are something we want to avoid until we know how to activate the deep transverse abdominals. Once you have figured it out, then we can move on to doing the crunches and the sit-ups and the plank position, okay? So let's see. Another thing I want to talk about, I bet you guys are like, why does she have a freaking celery stick right here? So something that's very common in any kind of work that you're doing when you're healing DR is doming or coning. You guys will hear me say this a lot in my videos. If I'm doing a certain move, if I'm like, hey, mama, if you see doming or coning in this move, stop, okay? That's an indicator that you are not activating your deep transverse abdominals and you're recruiting just that mid-center line. So I have this piece of celery because what it's going to look like is going to be right here. So if you can imagine, what happens is I literally will do a crunch. Here, I'll show you guys. I'll do a crunch and I'll have kind of like this doming. It will literally look like this celery position here. So I just, everything kind of comes here and I'm just recruiting and I have this doming or coning, which literally will look like a celery. That is your indicator to stop that movement, go back down a progression or a modification, focus on your breathing and your deep transverse abdominals, okay? So now, what are some tools we can use and what are some movements we can use to help heal your diastasis recti? So this is my best friend. You guys will see this in a lot of my videos. You guys can get this in the link below, okay? Amazon, it's like 10 bucks. This is a 9-inch one. For some of my mamas that are a little bit shorter, you might want to go a little bit smaller on this, but I'm going to show you guys how to use this. So you'll see me use it in between my legs all the time and a lot of the moves that I do. So I'll have this in between my legs here and I'll give it a squeeze. What I'm looking for here is to activate my inner thigh muscles and to activate more of my pelvic floor, because in order to activate, if I'm activating my pelvic floor, my transverse abdominals have to be recruited, okay? They have to be recruited. I'll show you guys some moves how to do this. Obviously, watch some of my workout videos. So when I have the ball in between here, I'm squeezing. Now, a lot of the time, my moms will squeeze, but they'll really activate their glutes to squeeze it, squeezing the glutes. So we're not doing this for glute activation. We're actually doing this, using this for right now for this purpose, for core activation. So I want that squeeze to come more from that inner thigh, okay? I will also use the ball for activation of my upper abs. So I will place the ball in between my hand. I'll give it kind of a little bit of squeeze. And you'll notice almost instantly my abs have to turn on because I'm squeezing. It's like, oh, hey, hello, how's it going? Now, if you're someone that's like, oh my goodness, I have no idea if I'm recruiting my abs, I don't know what I'm doing, we're going to practice some breath work. Breath work, it sounds so silly, but it is the key to properly activating your deep transverse abdominals. I would rather my mamas slow down their breath, focus on breathing, than the movement, first and foremost, because that is so important on actually recruiting those deep transverse abdominals. I'm going to show you a couple different cues that I give. You have to find the cue that's right for you. So when I'm flat on my back here, I'm going to take a big inhale. What I'm looking for in my inhale is a big 360 breath. I'm actually going to sit up for a moment for you guys so you can see it. When I talk about 360 breathing, you guys will see this in my programs. You will see this on YouTube as well. What I'm looking for in 360 breathing is I'm going to place my hands right on this rib cage area here. I want my rib cage to expand evenly outside, in the front body, and through the back, okay? So I'll take a big inhale, exhale, do it with me. Go ahead, put your hands on your rib cage. Inhale, exhale. When I exhale, my ribs are coming in and down slightly. Now, couple things. A lot of mamas, most common is going to be a big chest breath, okay? So a lot of mamas will breathe in. Watch this. I'm going to inhale through my chest, my shoulders go up. Now, when we do that, we actually put ourselves in a more stressful state. So this is also going to help with stress, which is amazing. So if you're one of those chest breathers, which is most of us, that's me. Again, mind muscle connection, focus down on the rib cage, the diaphragm area. We want to be breathing here. And another mistake, which I love deep belly breathing, especially for meditation, but what happens when we're only doing belly breathing is we're actually pushing more out on that TR and just causing more tension. So again, 360 breathing in all of your moves. This takes practice. So after you're done watching this video, try to do this 3 times throughout the day. You don't have to always think about it. Don't overthink the breath, but practice. Okay, so inhale. Exhale. When I'm exhaling, I'm thinking about blowing into a straw, nice and evenly, or a balloon. I don't want a big because what happens when I'll show you on my back. So inhale, exhale. If I blow out too hard, my belly, if you notice, it will pop up. My pants are pretty tight, so you can't really see it, but inhale, Exhale. Belly will pop up there. That's not what I want. I want a nice, even breath. I'm going to think about pulling up and in on my pelvic floor and my belly button. Okay, I'm going to say that again. So take a big inhale with me. Do this with me. Close your eyes. It helps when you close your eyes too. Inhale, so you're going to do that big diaphragm breathing. Notice your rib cage expanding on the sides, expanding in the front and the back body a little bit. Exhale, breathing out like you're breathing into a straw. Now, put it together. I want you to exhale, lift pelvic floor. So it's almost like you're lifting your Kegel a little bit. You don't have to do like a crazy, crazy squeeze, just a little lift. That's going to automatically make that belly lift and belly come down and in. We're not sucking in. That's another mistake. We'll suck in. So when I suck in, watch this. I'll suck in. Oh, let's see if I can do it. Here, let's see. Inhale, exhale. When I suck in, I will push down on the belly. So we're not sucking in. Don't think about sucking in because we'll push even more on that belly. It's a nice, even, flat tummy. Again, like I said, mistakes practice. So if you don't get it the first time, do not panic. So let's do it together. Inhale, exhale, breathe out. Think about pulling up through the pelvic floor as you breathe out. You should be able to feel the corset muscles, so these side abs. Okay? Everything's coming in, everything's activated and on. All right. I'm going to show you another thing. So a lot of times we are like, what's happening? I'm not turning them on. Take your 2 fingers. Find your hip bones. Okay? Bring your fingers in an inch and then down an inch. Now I want you to give me a cough. You should feel those abs pop up. Okay? That is your deep transverse abdominals. Now, I do not want you coughing throughout your workouts just to turn on your deep transverse abdominals. But that is it. That's a way to actually feel like, okay, I get it. This is what needs to be turned on. All right, so now inhale, exhale, blowing out evenly to a straw. If you notice when you exhale, you get that doming or coning, I want you to back off a little bit on that exhale. Concentrate on those deep transverse abdominals. And if you're like, gosh, I can't get it, that's when we recruit this ball here. Okay, so I recruit the ball. Now I have my inner thigh, so my pelvic floor has to turn on. It automatically turns on. So, like I'm squeezing inner thigh here, it is literally on. I can feel it. So that's going to be a good tool to use to also turn that deep transverse abdominals on. Okay, so let's talk about a couple other moves that we want to practice, and then also the ones that as we work towards, we might see coning or doming and then how to back down from that, okay? So this one is going to be the most common that you guys will see is this heel slide here. And you can use a hardwood floor as well, have a sock on, you can put sliders underneath, you can put a towel or even a paper plate underneath you. So when you're in this back position, you always want to make sure you do these pelvic tilts so you keep that low back into the ground. If you ever feel like your low back starts to come off, that is your indicator that your abs have turned off. So that is your indicator to readjust and focus first on your form and then do the movement. Okay, so the heel slides here, I'm going to slide out and then slowly draw them back in. With a lot of these moves that we do, a lot of the workouts we do, we really need to connect the breath. So I'll take a big inhale. Exhale as my leg goes out, and then exhale as it comes in. You can do it vice versa, whichever makes sense for you. Usually I'll cue big inhale, out, exhale, draw in. Inhale out, exhale in. Makes sense. And then same when we do little leg lifts. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. A lot of the times my moms will say, this is so easy. Listen, if it's easy, you're not doing it right. I don't care how advanced you are. If you are that advanced, you should make these easy movements very difficult because you're that connected with your body. Because for instance, I can do this all day long. Yeah, my core isn't on. Yeah, this is easy. Like, what am I even doing here? Like, what am I even doing? Okay. So that's when I know. Slow it down. Inhale, exhale, slow. A lot of this work, a lot of this healing work is going to be slow. Now, I want to talk about the importance of doing core work in every single different direction and position. So meaning on your back, number one. Second is going to be on your side. So we do a lot of side planks in my videos here. Now, in each position, we need to reset our core. So I'm not just going to go into my side planks here. Hi, how you doing? Because my core is loosey-goosey. I have no core engagement. What's the point? Okay, so I want to set up nicely, meaning I'm lifting up out of the shoulder. If this is too much on the ground for you, you move to an incline. So go prop yourself up on the couch. That's a good one. Okay, so I'll take a big inhale, exhale, lifting. Core is on before I start moving. Then I lift. Core is on before you start moving, okay? So you want to work on side planks because you want to make sure you can properly engage on your side. The next position is going to be that hands and knees position here, which can be one of the most difficult too, because we're putting a lot, gravity is not working with us here, right? Gravity is going to be taking our belly down. So this is a really good one to practice just breathing and not even move. So if you watch me here, I'm going to take a big inhale. I'm going to let that belly go. Exhale. I'm drawing belly up and in. Okay. Now, this one is really common where I see a lot of like sucking in, right? We don't want to suck in. We just want activation. So inhale, release belly, nice neutral spine, pull up out of the shoulders, nice long neck. Exhale. When I'm exhaling, I'm still thinking about drawing up that Kegel. Okay. Drawing up that Kegel, drawing up that belly button, nice and flat. Okay. And then we can start practicing moving once we have that proper core activation. If you do not have proper core activation, I don't even want you to start moving yet. Does that make sense? So you're not even going to start moving your hand until your core is actually on and you're literally holding it in this position. Okay. So we need to learn how to activate on our back, learn how to activate on our side, learn how to activate on hands and knees. And then also learn how to activate when we're standing up, okay? So this is really common. I'll have my moms practice on the floor, and then once they move into harder positions and we're starting to do strength training or cardio, so we're doing our squats here, they totally forget their belly. It's like, what happened? What happened here? You have to have your core engagement too when you're doing your strength, when you're doing all your cardio. Now, when we're doing cardio and we're doing fast movement, no, I'm not going to be like slowing it down just so I make sure everything's on. We're going to be training our core just to naturally know to be on, okay? But when we're doing slower movements like strength training, okay, so I'm in my squat here, inhale, belly goes out. So see how I have this arch in the back, okay? I need to tilt my pelvis first before I get too antsy to move. Inhale, exhale, drawing belly up and in, core is on. Now I can do my beautiful squat. I have that core engagement is on. Okay, so it's not just a glute exercise, it's not just a leg exercise, it's that core exercise too. Same with when I'm doing deadlifts. So if I start to do deadlifts, this is also a really like, when my mom starts to do deadlifts and they don't have that proper core control, your belly's just gonna go, and then you start pulling with your back. Inhale, exhale, go. I blew so hard I spit, okay? That's what I want you to do. Don't be embarrassed. So make sure you are mastering breath work in every single position, core work in every single position, all of that good stuff, okay? The last thing I want to talk about too, this is really common. My moms are like, oh my gosh, I've healed. I've been working on this for 4 or 6 months. I still have mommy tummy, so which means you still look like 3 months pregnant, 4 months pregnant, etc. Or you still have a bulge. Something to pay attention to is hernias, okay? So if you still feel like you have a big bulge, it can kind of be painful to touch. Make sure you check in with your doc about hernia. Hernia is a little bit different than diastasis recti and can't be healed. Most of them need to be healed with some sort of surgery. It's not crazy intense surgery. It's very simple, but you want to make sure you take care of that right away. And that's the other important thing too. Start your core work right away, because if you're not, you can cause a hernia, which we don't want, we don't love. So start your core work right away. Another thing too, you guys, my New Baby New Body program, this is really important. I get moms that always ask me, what am I doing wrong? What am I doing wrong? I need to see your form. I need to see what you're doing. I need to see how you're moving. And in my programs, the New Baby New Body program, we have movement assessments where you literally send me a video and it's me watching. And then I send you a video back being like, okay, this is what we need to work on. This is how your breath needs to be adjusted. This is how your form needs to be adjusted. You need to stop squeezing your glutes, focus on your inner thighs. And I give you that specific feedback every single month. So if you're one of those people who have tried a bunch of different programs and you haven't had any like trainer really look at your body, make sure you take the leap and do the New Baby New Body program, because I am literally looking at your form and that is so key to making sure you actually are healing. Okay, so if you guys have any questions, if I didn't cover anything, make sure you comment below. Let me know if you're like, yes, this is what I need somebody who knows what they're talking about, I need somebody to look at my form. Check out the New Baby New Body program below. I want you guys to join. I can't wait until you guys are all in there. Thank you so much for being a part of this community. Thank you so much for always allowing me to tell you guys about my programs. That's how I keep creating free content for you, is my mamas who support me in there and who are ready to create postpartum bodies that thrive. All right, I'll see you in the next YouTube video. Let me know if you want any other specific content, and I will see you super soon. Bye for now.